I know a lot of people are confused by having to force limited range on the TV and having full on your GPU. So I want to make this very, very clear for you. When you turn on HDR on Windows, the content on Windows is on SDR. If you open a video on YouTube that is on SDR, that video is on SDR. There's no HDR metadata. So when you do that, or when you open a game that doesn't support HDR, and I'm gonna show you that too, when you do that, the content is on SDR, and you have to force limit it on the TV. You have to do it, and I'm going to demonstrate to you with two test patterns that I'm gonna share on the description, and you can try it yourself and you can see it for yourself. I'm going to demonstrate to you that actually when you do that, when you have on your, let me explain you exactly, when you come to your NVIDIA control panel here and you have on your resolution output dynamic range full, okay? When you do this and you come to your TV and you force limited range, let me show you. I'm moving the camera so the email address doesn't show on the display screen. So you come here to brightness and you force black level limited. So you need full on your GPU and you need limited on the TV. When you do that, okay, when you do that, you are actually in full range. And I'm going to demonstrate that to you with these two test patterns. And you can try it yourself and you will see that you're actually in full range. So what you need to do is you have to max out this SDR slider to 100%. You have to max that out. And what this is going to do is going to max CLL. So the HDR max is 498 nits. And you might think, man, but my display is this LGC1 is 800 nits. Actually, when you force limited on the TV is going to clip. So it's going to push its maximum peak brightness, this LGC1, at about 520 nits. Okay? So having the games display or the content, the SDR content, do max CLL 498, that is absolutely perfect. And the games with HGIG are going to look fantastic. And I have a game open here, I'm just gonna show you for a moment. But any game that you open that doesn't support HDR, doesn't have native HDR, it doesn't support auto HDR from Windows, is going to look fantastic. All the content on Windows, YouTube, all the programs that are on SDR, they are going to look fantastic. And you will have full range. You're not crushing blacks. You're not clipping the whites. And I'm going to demonstrate that to you with these two test patterns. So we come here. I have a game open. I have the near black test pattern that I showed you before. And I have two test patterns, two new test patterns that I'm gonna share with you. So the first one I want to share is this one, because this is the one that really demonstrates that what I'm telling you is what it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the lights so I can show you this test pattern, and I'm going to check the exposure of the camera to make sure that the camera can capture this test pattern. Before I do that, let me just make clear what is full and what is limited range. On the NVIDIA control panel, when we come here, output dynamic range, NVIDIA give us a description, a brief description. It says, output dynamic range allows the user to select the dynamic range 16 to 235, that's limited, or 0 to 255 for 8-bit per color. Okay, so you know when you have 8 bits, is a 2 elevated to 8, and if you have 10 bits, it would be to the power of 10. So it will be a lot bigger. I think that's what it is. My memory. So that's like the range, the grayscale range. Okay. So that's what we're talking about here. So by having full on the NVIDIA control panel and having limited on the TV, you actually have full range. And this test pattern that I'm gonna show you is gonna show you the entire range. So you will see it here. Let me show you. So this starts from 0 and goes to 255. So that is the full range. So right now, let me turn off the lights. Okay, so let me also close the door. So you can see here the entire range. I mean, I don't even need to adjust the exposure of the camera. So let me show you. If I come here and I change to limited to full or auto, it doesn't change the visibility. It just makes everything washed out. So you don't see anything different. Everything just pop less. So what is happening here in full is the whitest white, this 255, is dimmer. It's a lot dimmer. A lot dimmer. When I do this, boom, everything is visible. So you see all the entire grayscale. And this 255 is actually like 800 nits. It is the maximum peak brightness of the display. So when I do this, everything becomes washed out. So this is dimmer. So in full, on the TV in full, this is dimmer. And everything is washed out. And near black is brighter than it should be. So when you do this, you will realize everything is visible. This is the proof. So you are in full range. You are in full range when you do this. So let me show you another one. Let me show you this one, for example. In this one, it was easier for me to measure the peak brightness, because on this one, this is a huge, this 255 is huge, and it allows me to measure. I measure the peak brightness with a cell phone app, which is not accurate, but I've tested the cell phone app with some patterns that tell me the nits, the amount of nits that is outputting, and I know the distance, an approximate of the distance I should have the phone to measure and get an accurate measurement. And it's an error of less than 100 nits, I would say. And I measure, when I set this to limited, I measured this 255 on the bottom right corner. That 255 is 800 nits or more. So on my measurement, so I know for sure that's the maximum peak brightness when I do this. So when I do this limited, let me get this out of the way. I can see, well, you can even see it on the phone. I don't even need to adjust the exposure. The reason why that looks red is because of this. So I don't even need to adjust the exposure. The entire grayscale is visible. And the most important thing is that not only is visible, these pops, so the brightest white pops, and it gives you the maximum peak brightness of your display. And that's what you want for gaming. So when you use HDIG, you see that everything pops. We do tone mapping off, the brightness of the highlight goes down. We do HDIG, boom, and it pops. That's what you want for gaming. It looks absolutely amazing. If you don't do this, you keep it on auto, in full, everything looks washed out. This looks brighter than it should be. It's brighter than it should be. So there's no separation almost here. They are so visible, too visible. So this is too visible. The lower end of the grayscale is too visible. So that washes out the picture, and the whites are not as bright. So you have to do this, and it's going to give you an amazing result. So the explanation of why this is happening, I actually have a meeting today with somebody who is an expert on this matter. He wrote to me on the comments, and it seems like he understands this very well. And his name on YouTube is JOBA Must Die. So I'm gonna have a conversation with him today and see if I can understand why this is happening, so I can share that with you. Let me show you a game, for example, here. You see how it looks? This is the game. This is Thymesia. Let me lower the exposure a little bit so it doesn't crush. It doesn't blow the highlights. So let me do, for example, let me see if there is any highlights here that are going to pop with HDIG. Let's see. Yeah, you can see, well, here is not really a lot. Let me move. Let me see if we can find a highlight here that is going to pop. Let's see. Yeah, only this red. There's not a lot here. So you see on his nose, on the character, his nose is very bright. So it pops with HDIG. You see that it pops the detail, and it's beautiful the way it pops this in his nose. And you see here these details here popping. Let's see if we can see anything else. Yeah, you can see it clearly here. So all this bright detail pops with HDIG. And this is looking like a beautiful HDR implementation. It's so colorful and beautiful. Look at this. It's just amazing. And this game doesn't support HDR. So this is SDR, but it's popping the same way HDR does. So if I use full, look at this. It's washed out. So on full, this is washed out, and you don't get highlights. The whites are not as bright. So we do this. Wow. Look at this. Full, washed out. Boom. And there's no black crush because the grayscale is perfect. I show you, there's no black crush. You have the entire grayscale range, and it's absolutely perfect. So yeah, let me just show my face for the conclusions. So again, I'm gonna keep showing how to fix the native HDR games, and I'm gonna try to understand better today when I speak with this person who seems to be an expert in this matter. I'm gonna try to explain understand myself why this is happening, so I can explain you. And also I'm gonna post on the comments and on the link on the description his comment, the comment he made on the last video, explaining a lot, giving a lot of information. I don't know if that information is accurate because I don't understand, but I think it is interesting to at least read that, and you can check yourself if that is 100% accurate. So yeah, I just want to, before I continue with the HDR games, make this very clear. You should always do this. Always, for SDR content on Windows. Have full on the GPU, limited on the TV, max out that brightness slider, and for the games, use HDIG. And it is incredible. It looks absolutely amazing. You get the maximum peak brightness of your display, perfect shadow details, the colors are vibrant and they pop because that grayscale is perfectly in range. And also check it out for yourself with the near black test pattern that I shared before, that 16 to 26 near black test pattern. You will see there's no crushing when you use that test pattern. And also check out these two test patterns that I'm gonna share with you, and you can check it for yourself. You will see the lower end of the grayscale is too bright, brighter than it should be, and the brightest whites are not as bright. They are washed out too. When you force limit it, boom, the white is going to pop, and the lower end of the grayscale is going to be near black, just visible. And that's exactly what you're looking for. So let me know if you have any questions.